My stomach dropped, a cold wave of nausea washing over me as my dad's face went utterly white. He had just asked me if my monthly allowance was enough, and when I told him I had no idea what he was talking about, our entire family's foundation cracked wide open. It turns out, for months, while I was working myself to the point of collapse just to survive, my own mother had been systematically stealing my allowance and secretly showering my sister with thousands of dollars for luxury shopping in Paris. Hey everyone, I'm Logan, and I'm 19 years old. When this story begins, I had just started medical school in New York City, 4 months after moving out from my family home in Dallas, Texas. My dad, a busy surgeon, and my mom, who managed our home, paid for my tuition, and I was incredibly grateful for that. But everything else? Rent, groceries, books, living expenses, that was all on me. I moved to New York inspired by my dad, dreaming of becoming a doctor, but college life was nothing like I'd imagined. Forget making friends or joining clubs, I was just trying to keep my head above water. I took on job after job, tutoring, event staffing, working at a bar, often switching shifts, mostly weekends, just to fit it all around my rigorous classes. It was brutal. Mentally, I was drained, and physically, I was constantly exhausted. I'd nod off in lectures, drag myself home late, and then stare blankly at my textbooks, too tired to study. I was falling behind, genuinely worried I might have to repeat the year, and the anxiety was suffocating. My main priority was supposed to be my studies, but survival had become my full-time job. Desperate, I called my mom, hoping for just a little financial help. Dad was rarely home, so Mom handled all the money. Even though Dad earned a great income, Mom's answer was cold: "We don't have extra money, Logan. Your tuition is already a strain. We can't send you any more." I felt completely stuck, a knot tightening in my chest. My friends living away from home all got support, and I envied them, but I just pushed that feeling down and decided to work even harder. Looking back, the financial disparity was just the latest symptom of a lifelong pattern. Things had always been different between me and my older sister, Olivia, who's 21 and studying fashion in Paris. While I was expected to work hard for everything, Olivia seemed to glide through life. Mom always called her her golden sister, the one with a special touch. I loved Olivia, but the blatant favoritism was impossible to ignore. I remember bringing home straight A's at 10 years old, and Mom just glanced at it, saying, "That's what we expect from you, Logan." The very same day, Olivia brought home B's and C's, and Mom threw her a small celebration, praising her artistic mind. Dad always seemed uncomfortable, but he never said anything, always deferring to Mom when it came to us kids. That summer, after struggling through midterms and retests, I was determined to earn as much as possible. I planned to cut back my shifts once classes started again, which meant I had to save every penny. My meals became instant noodles, bread, discounted prepackaged meals. I biked everywhere to save on transport. It was a stark contrast to my privileged upbringing. I never imagined living in such poverty. Amidst my grueling schedule, I'd occasionally check Olivia's Instagram. Her feed was a constant stream of lavishness: trendy Parisian cafes, exclusive fashion shows, weekend trips to Monaco and Milan, each photo featuring a new designer outfit. It was hard not to feel a searing bitterness. While I was meticulously counting pennies for ramen, she was living a life of pure luxury. One post, in particular, burned me. Olivia at a rooftop party overlooking the Eiffel Tower, wearing a new Dior dress. The caption read, "Mom always knows exactly what I need. #blessed #fashion life #Paris." I stared at it, a cold anger building inside me. How could my parents afford this for her, yet claim they had no money to spare for me? My friends often invited me out, but I always had to decline. "Nah, I'm working every day," I'd say, trying to sound casual. One friend messaged me, "Are you sure you're okay? You always seem tired at school. You're working too much." I brushed it off. "I've got the stamina. Let's meet up once school starts again." By the way, if you're still with me on this unbelievable journey, please take a moment to hit that subscribe button. You won't want to miss the wild twists and turns yet to come. I was heading to the bar for my shift, trying to push through the exhaustion, but that day, my body finally gave out. It was a chaotic Friday. As I carried a tray of cocktails, the room started spinning. The tray suddenly felt impossibly heavy. The last thing I remember was reaching for the bar to steady myself. Then, nothing. I woke up in a hospital bed. The doctor told me I had collapsed from exhaustion and malnutrition. Malnutrition. Me, Logan, from a well-off family, a medical student, collapsing from not eating enough. They gave me 4 fluids and sent me home. I immediately called my boss to apologize. He was incredibly kind, saying he called an ambulance right away and had already contacted my parents. You've been taking a lot of shifts, and I relied too much on that. Rest for the rest of the month, he said. That meant even less income. Riding the subway home, I felt utterly lost. My friend, who had messaged me while I was unconscious, came over with groceries and made me spaghetti. While we ate, I mentioned I wasn't getting any financial help from home. His eyes widened. That's why you're working so hard. Your dad's a doctor. You should be getting some help. I explained Mom's finances are tight line. Really? But you have a sister in Paris. How is she affording to study abroad if money is so tight? His question hit me like a ton of bricks. I had never considered it. I don't know, I mumbled. Mom always handled Olivia's expenses separately. Said she had a special arrangement for her. My friend shook his head. No way. That doesn't make sense. I hate to say this, but maybe there's something going on you don't know about. Something clicked. Why would Mom say they had no money for me, when Dad was a successful surgeon, we lived in an upscale neighborhood, and I went to private schools my whole life? Olivia was living like a princess. I remembered a conversation I'd overheard years ago, Dad asking Mom why my summer camp was cancelled while Olivia was sent to an expensive art program. Mom's excuse, investing in Olivia's future, and Logan is more practical, he wouldn't mind staying home. The frustration on Dad's face. It all started to make a terrible kind of sense. Worried, I messaged Mom, "Are you both okay?" Her eventual reply, "We're fine," didn't ease my mind. That night, curiosity turned into a desperate need for answers. I did something I rarely did, I called Olivia directly. "Logan, what's wrong? You never call," she sounded genuinely surprised. "Just checking in," I said, my heart pounding. "How's Paris treating you?" "Amazing as always. Mom just sent me the cutest Chanel bag for my birthday next month. She's always so thoughtful." My stomach dropped again. "Oh, that's nice," I forced out. "Financially over there? Paris must be expensive." Olivia laughed, a carefree sound that sliced through me. "Oh, I don't worry about that stuff. Mom transfers me about $3,000 a month for expenses, plus extra whenever I need something special. You know how she is with me. $3,000 a month. Plus extra. When I was told there wasn't a single dollar to spare for me, it felt like I'd been punched. I ended the call quickly, faking an excuse about needing to study. I wanted to believe they were just teaching me a lesson about independence, but the reality was far darker. I decided I would talk to my parents in person when I went home for the holidays. The holiday season came, and I took the cheapest flight home, only able to stay for one night. Dad looked shocked when he saw me. "You've lost a lot of weight, really," he remarked, a genuine concern in his voice. Mom also looked taken aback, falling silent. Over lunch, a rare, luxurious meal of salad, soup, and chicken wings for me, Dad immediately asked, "Are you eating properly?" I told him the truth, not really. It's been a while since I had a meal like this. I usually eat instant noodles, bread, discounted prepackaged meals. Dad was baffled. "What about the cafeteria?" "Too expensive," I admitted. "Is it that expensive?" he questioned. "About $5 or so." Then came the question that changed everything. "Is the money I've been sending enough for you?" Dad asked, his brow furrowed in confusion. I stared at him, bewildered. "What money? I haven't been getting any money." His face went stark white, mirroring the shock I felt. "What do you mean? You haven't received any money for the past 4 months? I specifically asked your mom to transfer $2,000 every month into your account." The pieces slammed together. $2,000 a month. Mom had been lying to me. "Mom told me your finances were tight, and she couldn't afford to send any money," I told Dad, my voice tight. "We have enough money." "What's happening?" he demanded, turning to Mom. "Paisley, have you been sending money to Logan like you're supposed to?" Mom looked down, silent. A cold dread seeped into me. "And how is Olivia affording to live in Paris if money is so tight?" I asked, my voice rising slightly. Dad looked even more confused. "What about Olivia? What's going on?" Mom still wouldn't speak, wouldn't meet our eyes. "Please don't stay quiet, can you explain?" Dad pleaded. Finally, in a soft, barely audible voice, she said, "I haven't sent any money to Logan." Dad and I were stunned. "What? Why not?" Dad asked, utterly dumbfounded. "There are just too many things we need to pay for," Mom began, a weak protest. "Isn't our home loan already paid off?" Dad pressed. Cornered, Mom finally revealed the truth, her voice dropping. "I've been keeping the money, for Olivia." "What do you mean, for Olivia?" I asked, my voice barely a whisper. "She needs it more than you do," Mom continued calmly, as if this was completely rational. "She's studying fashion in Paris, it's expensive. She needs to look the part, make connections." The words were like a physical blow. I asked for some money, even a little, but you said you couldn't afford it, while you were sending Olivia $3,000 a month. Mom's head snapped up, her calm facade finally breaking. How do you know how much I sent her? Dad interjected, his voice laced with a fury I'd rarely heard. There was a call from Logan's work recently saying you collapsed from overwork. And I noticed today how much weight you've lost. My dad hadn't known about my collapse. Yeah, but it wasn't serious, I said, trying to downplay it, though the words felt hollow. Why didn't you tell me? Dad roared at Mom, his voice shaking. I'm sorry, I was scared you'd find out I wasn't sending the money, she stammered. Wait, let me understand this, Dad said, his voice dangerously quiet now. You've been withholding Logan's allowance, letting him struggle to the point of collapse, while secretly sending extra money to Olivia for what? Shopping sprees in Paris? It's not like that. Mom protested. Olivia has potential. She needs to maintain a certain image. You don't understand the fashion world. And Logan doesn't have potential? Dad's voice was incredulous. He's studying medicine. He's following in my footsteps. That's exactly it. Mom shot back. He's exactly like you. He'll be fine. He doesn't need help. Olivia is special. She's delicate. She needs support. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. All those years, I'd sensed the favoritism, but hearing it stated so baldly, so unapologetically, was like a knife to my heart. How much have you been giving her? Dad asked, his voice dangerously quiet once more. Mom hesitated. $3,000 a month for living expenses. And maybe a little extra sometimes. How much extra? Dad pressed. I don't know, maybe another $2,000 or $3,000 some months for networking events, proper clothes, accessories. Dad's face had gone pale, his jaw clenched. So, you've been diverting $5,000 or $6,000 a month to Olivia while Logan has been starving himself and working to the point of collapse? When you put it that way, it sounds bad, Mom said defensively. But Olivia is building her career. She needs these things. And what has she been buying with all this money? Dad demanded. Just things she needs, Mom replied vaguely. Like the Chanel bag you just bought her for her birthday next month, I added quietly. Mom looked at me in shock. How did you? I called her, I finished. She told me everything. How you always make sure she has what she needs. How you send her extra whenever she wants something special. This is unbelievable, Dad said, shaking his head. Logan had to work until he collapsed because he didn't have any money while his sister is parading around Paris with designer bags. Olivia has always been special, Mom insisted, her chin rising defensively. She needs more support. No, Dad said firmly. What she needs is a reality check. And so do you. He turned to me, his voice softening. Logan, I'm so sorry. I had no idea this was happening. I thought you were receiving your allowance all along. It's okay, Dad. No, it's not okay, he interrupted. None of this is okay. He turned back to Mom. Paisley, from now on, I'll handle all the finances. I'll send money directly to Logan's account, and we're going to have a serious talk about Olivia's expenses. You can't do that. Mom protested. Olivia needs is to learn the value of money. Dad cut her off, his voice ringing with authority. She's 21 years old, living like a celebrity on our dime, while her brother nearly works himself to death. It stops now. The rest of lunch was tense, mostly silent. I picked at my food, suddenly not hungry despite having been ravenous moments before. Mom dabbed at her eyes with her napkin, playing the victim, while Dad sat rigid with anger, a muscle twitching in his jaw. Afterward, I retreated to my room, overwhelmed by the earthquake that had just torn through our family. I could hear my parents arguing downstairs, their voices rising and falling. I lay on my bed, staring at the ceiling of my childhood room, and all the years of subtle favoritism came crashing down on me. The way Olivia got a car for her 16th birthday, while I was told to save up. How her artwork was framed prominently, while my academic achievements were just expected. The summer I wanted to attend a science camp but was told it was too expensive, only to find out Olivia had been sent to a month-long art program in Italy. It all made sense now. The pattern had always been there, but I'd never understood just how deep, how manipulative, it went. The financial disparity was just the most recent, most extreme manifestation of Mom's lifelong preference. Later that evening, Dad knocked on my door. Can I come in? He asked gently. I nodded, and he sat heavily on the edge of my bed. I want you to know how sorry I am, he said, his voice tired. I had no idea your mother was doing this. I thought you were getting your allowance, and I thought Olivia was on a much more modest budget. It's not your fault, Dad, I replied. It is, though. I should have been more involved in the finances. I trusted your mother to handle things fairly, and I was too busy with work to pay attention. He sighed deeply. I've already called Olivia. She was upset when I told her there would be changes. What kind of changes? I asked. Her allowance is being reduced to $1,000 a month, the same amount you'll be getting from now on. Anything beyond that, she'll need to earn herself. She's not going to like that, I said, picturing Olivia's lifestyle. No, she's not. But it's long overdue. He hesitated, then continued. There's something else you should know. Your mother, she hasn't just been favoring Olivia with money. She's been putting money aside for her future, too. Money that was supposed to be split between both of you. My heart sank. What do you mean? We have a family trust that's supposed to be divided equally between you and your sister when you both turn 25. Your mother has been diverting funds from it to set up a separate account in Olivia's name. I felt sick. How much? About $300,000 so far. I couldn't even comprehend that amount. I've frozen that account and initiated the process to return those funds to the family trust, Dad said. It will take some legal work, but it's the right thing to do. He ran a hand through his graying hair, looking older than I'd ever seen him. I keep thinking about how you collapsed at work. How you've been struggling all this time while I thought you were fine. While your mother let me believe you were fine. I didn't want to worry you, I said softly. That's not your job, son. My job is to worry about you, to take care of you. His voice broke slightly. And I failed at that. You didn't know, Dad. I should have known. I should have asked more questions, been more involved. He straightened his shoulders. But that changes now. From now on, I'm going to be much more present in your life and Olivia's, and I'm going to make sure things are fair between you two. That night, Olivia called me, absolutely furious. What did you say to Dad? She demanded, without preamble. The truth, I replied, simply. That I've been working multiple jobs and still can barely afford to eat while you've been getting thousands of dollars a month. That's different, she snapped. I need that money. Do you have any idea how expensive it is to live in Paris? To dress appropriately for fashion school? Do you have any idea what it's like to collapse from exhaustion because you're working so many jobs you don't have time to eat or sleep properly? There was a stunned pause on her end. Is that really what happened? Yes, Olivia, that's really what happened. While you were buying Chanel bags, I was working 60-hour weeks on top of medical school and living on ramen noodles. Another long pause. I didn't know. Would it have mattered if you did? She didn't answer that. Instead, she said, what am I supposed to do now? Dad says I'm only getting $1,000 a month from now on. I can't live on that. Welcome to the real world, I said, without much sympathy. Get a job like I did. A job? I'm studying fashion design. I don't have time for a job. And I'm in medical school. Somehow, I manage. She hung up on me. The next morning, tensions in the house were at an all-time high. Mom barely spoke, moving around the kitchen like a ghost. Dad kept trying to engage me in conversation, as if making up for lost time. Your mother and I have been talking, he said finally. We need to make some changes. What kind of changes? I asked, glancing at Mom, who was staring fixedly into her coffee cup. For one thing, I'm taking control of the family finances, Dad said firmly. And I'm going to be much more involved in both your lives from now on. Mom looked up then. I still think you're being too harsh on Olivia. What she needs, Dad interrupted, his voice unwavering, is to learn the same lessons Logan has had to learn the hard way. Independence, responsibility, the value of hard work. She's different, Mom insisted. She's more sensitive. No, Dad said firmly. She's not different. She's just been treated differently by you. Mom fell silent again. There's something else we need to discuss, Dad continued, turning back to me. Your mother and I, we're having problems. My heart sank. What kind of problems? This situation with the money. It's brought to light some deeper issues. Your mother's favoritism toward Olivia has been going on for years, and I've allowed it. I didn't realize how extreme it had become. What are you saying? I asked, though I already knew. We're going to try counseling, Dad said. But I want to be honest with you. I'm not sure our marriage can recover from this. The trust is broken. Mom looked up, her eyes suddenly fierce. You're blaming me for all of this, for wanting to give our daughter the best chance at success. I'm blaming you for lying to me, for stealing from our son, and for potentially emptying our retirement accounts to fund our daughter's shopping addiction, Dad replied evenly. Yes. I flew back to New York the next day, my head spinning. Dad had transferred $5,000 into my account, back pay for the allowance I should have been receiving, and promised regular monthly transfers from now on. Focus on your studies, he told me at the airport. That's what's important now. The first thing I did when I got back to my apartment was buy groceries. Real groceries. Fresh vegetables, meat, fruits, foods I hadn't been able to afford in months. I cooked myself a proper meal and sat down, savoring each bite. It was such a simple thing, but it felt like the greatest luxury. With the financial pressure eased, I was able to cut back on my work hours significantly. I kept the tutoring job because I enjoyed it, but I reduced my bar shifts to just weekends and gave up the event staffing entirely. Suddenly, I had time to study, to sleep, to take care of myself. My grades began to improve almost immediately. Over the next few months, I watched from a distance as my family dynamics shifted dramatically. Dad moved out of the house into an apartment nearby. Olivia, faced with her drastically reduced budget, initially threatened to drop out of fashion school and move home in protest. But when neither parent budged, she surprisingly rose to the challenge. She found a part-time job at a small boutique in Paris and started living within her means. "It's actually not that bad," she admitted to me during one of our now regular calls. "My boss is teaching me a lot about the business side of fashion, and I kind of like earning my own money." Mom struggled the most with the changes. She resisted the financial restrictions Dad had put in place and continued to try to send Olivia extra money in secret. When Dad discovered this, it was the final straw. He filed for divorce. The proceedings were messy. Mom fought the divorce, trying to claim half of Dad's assets and future income. But when Dad's lawyer presented evidence of her financial misconduct, diverting family funds, emptying joint accounts to send money to Olivia, and lying about it consistently, the judge was unsympathetic. The final settlement heavily favored Dad. During this time, I focused on rebuilding my health and my academic standing. With proper nutrition and adequate rest, I regained the weight I'd lost and felt my energy returning. My professors noted the improvement in my work, and I even managed to join the Pre-Med Student Association, something I'd been too busy to even consider before. Olivia and I began speaking more regularly. Our conversations were awkward at first, both of us unsure how to navigate our new relationship without Mom's favoritism driving a wedge between us. But gradually, we found common ground. She told me about her job at the boutique, about the customers she met, about her designs. I told her about my classes, my growing circle of friends, my hopes for the future. "I never realized how much Mom's favoritism affected you," she said during one of our calls. "I guess I just accepted it as normal. It felt good to be the special one." "And I accepted being the overlooked one," I replied. "It's what we knew." "I'm sorry, Logan. I should have seen it. We were both kids, Liv. It wasn't our responsibility to see it." 1 year later, I was doing well in medical school. With the financial pressure lifted, my grades had improved, and I'd even joined a few clubs and made more friends. Dad had settled into his new life as a bachelor and seemed happier than I'd seen him in years. He visits me in New York every couple of months, and we've grown closer than ever. During his last visit, we talked for hours about his medical career, my studies, our shared love of science, conversations we never seemed to have time for when I was growing up. "I always knew you had the makings of a great doctor," he told me, "but I'm even more proud of the person you're becoming." Olivia had undergone perhaps the most surprising transformation. After initially resenting the financial restrictions, she embraced her independence. She was still in fashion school, but her work at the boutique had turned into a valuable apprenticeship. She was designing her own small collection now, learning to create beautiful things on a budget. We talked regularly, and for the first time, I felt like I have a real relationship with my sister. "My new designs show a maturity and practicality that was missing before," she told me proudly during one of our video calls. "My professor says constraints can be a designer's best friend. They force you to be creative in ways unlimited resources never would." Who knew budget limitations could be a good thing? I laughed. "Certainly not the old me," she admitted, "but I think I like the new me better." Mom had the hardest adjustment. The divorce left her with less than she expected, and she had to downsize from our family home to a small condo. She was still struggling to accept her new reality and blamed Dad and me for turning Olivia against her. She started working part-time at a local department store, her first job in over 20 years. And while she complained about it constantly, I think the structure and social interaction were actually good for her. Her relationship with both Olivia and me remained strained. She'd call me occasionally, though our conversations were short and superficial. With Olivia, she still tried to maintain the old dynamic, offering to send money she didn't have, suggesting Olivia move back home. But Olivia had learned to gently but firmly maintain her boundaries. Last week, during one of our video calls, Olivia showed me some of her latest designs, elegant, minimalist pieces crafted from affordable materials. "I never would have learned to do this if I still had unlimited funds," she admitted. Constraints breed creativity, I guess. You're really good at this, I told her, genuinely impressed. She smiled. Thanks. And you're going to be a great doctor someday. She paused. I'm sorry about before, about not seeing what was happening to you. It wasn't your fault, I said. We were both caught in Mom's weird dynamics. Still, I should have noticed. She hesitated. Are you going home for Christmas? To Dad's? Yes. You? Yes. And I thought maybe we could visit Mom together. She's having a hard time. I considered it. Despite everything, she was still our mother. Okay, I agreed. We'll go together. In the 2 years since that fateful holiday dinner, when the truth came out, our family has been completely reconfigured. The changes haven't all been easy, but I believe they've been necessary. Dad is happier and more engaged as a parent. Olivia has discovered her own strength and creativity. I found my footing in medical school and am thriving both academically and socially. And Mom, well, Mom is still adjusting. Maybe she always will be, but at least now the relationships in our family are based on truth rather than manipulation and favoritism. Sometimes family is complicated, and healing takes time. But as I've learned, honesty, however painful, is the first step towards something healthier. 3 years later, I'm now in my 4th year of medical school, near the top of my class, preparing for residency interviews. Dad has been my rock through it all. Last month, Olivia surprised everyone by launching her first independent fashion collection in Paris. What shocked me most was seeing Dad sitting front row at her show, beaming with pride. After years of her being Mom's project, she and Dad have built their own relationship. Her designs, minimalist, practical, yet elegant, have garnered attention from several boutiques. She's making it on her own terms, without family money propping her up. As for Mom, the journey hasn't been easy. The divorce humbled her in ways none of us expected. Last year, after her department store promoted her to assistant manager, something shifted. She called me one night sobbing. I'm proud of you, Logan, she said, words I'd waited a lifetime to hear from her. I was wrong. So wrong. Our relationship remains complicated, but we're working on it. She's in therapy now, unpacking why she favored Olivia so heavily, apparently stemming from her own childhood as the overlooked sibling. She's learning, finally, to see both her children clearly. The most unexpected development came 6 months ago when Dad met Catherine, a pediatric nurse at his hospital. Watching him fall in love again at 52 has been beautiful. When he called to tell me he was proposing, I felt nothing but happiness for him. This Christmas will be our first holiday with all of us, Dad and Catherine, Olivia flying in from Paris, Mom, yes, she's invited, and me. It won't be perfect, family never is. But it will be honest. The collapse that started it all. I think about it sometimes. How something so painful became the catalyst for healing our family's deep wounds. I wouldn't wish that experience on anyone, but I can't regret where it led us. Sometimes it takes falling apart completely before you can rebuild something real. Have you ever experienced a family secret that fundamentally changed your relationships? What did you do? Share your thoughts and stories in the comments below, I'm really eager to hear them.